Officer Jake Harmon was known as the heartbeat of Hollow Creek. A respected police officer and kind neighbor, he was the kind of man who remembered birthdays, shoveled his elderly neighbor's driveway, and always carried extra dog treats in his patrol car. But more than anything, Jake was defined by his partner, Rex, a sharp-eyed, loyal Belgian Malinois with a nose for danger and a heart that beat only for Jake. They weren't just partners, they were a unit. For 5 years, Rex had served at Jake's side, sniffing out danger and chasing down suspects. In their precinct, the two were legends. People joked that Jake only spoke in full sentences when Rex was around, and Rex only wagged his tail when Jake was smiling. But legends don't last forever. It was a Thursday afternoon when the call came in, a robbery gone wrong. A hardware store just outside the main square had been taken hostage. A nervous, armed man held a teenage employee inside. Jake and Rex were the first on the scene. Negotiators were en route, but Jake couldn't wait. The suspect was panicked and screaming. Jake approached slowly, hands up, talking calm and steady, the way he always did. Then the sound, a shelf falling, a bottle shattering. Something startled the man. The gun fired. Jake moved without hesitation. He pushed the girl out of the line of fire. He took the bullet. Rex charged, taking down the gunman with surgical precision. Officers flooded in moments later, but the silence afterward told them everything they needed to know. Jake didn't get back up. The funeral was heartbreaking. Flags flew at half-mast. Dozens of officers lined the streets. Jake's mother collapsed as the honor guard folded the flag from his casket, and Rex, sedated and grieving, refused to eat or drink for 2 full days. By law, the department had the right to reassign Rex. He was government property, but no one had the stomach to tear him away from Jake's family. Jake had one sister, Emily, a nurse who lived in the same town. She offered to adopt Rex, and no one questioned it. Emily wasn't alone. She had Lily, her 11-year-old daughter, a shy, quiet girl with honey brown hair and eyes that watched more than they spoke. Lily had lost her father to cancer 2 years earlier, and she hadn't been the same since. She rarely talked in public and had been homeschooled for most of the year. The day Rex arrived at their house was cold and rainy. He didn't react to the warmth inside, to the sound of Lily's voice, or even the gentle pats Emily offered. He simply walked to the front door and lay down, like he was waiting for someone who would never return. That night, Lily brought her pillow downstairs. She didn't say anything, just curled up next to Rex and fell asleep. When Emily found them the next morning, Rex's head was resting gently on Lily's side. She covered them both with a blanket and let them sleep. Over the next few weeks, an unspoken connection grew between them. Lily began reading to him in whispers, old picture books she hadn't touched in years. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't expect a reaction. But one day, under the big oak tree in the backyard, as Lily read from a tattered copy of Charlotte's Web, Rex shifted. He leaned in. His tail gave a tiny thump against the grass, just once. And Lily smiled, wide and honest, for the first time in months. What neither of them knew was that their peace would soon be interrupted. That someone with power, money, and the desire to own a hero would come knocking. And that Lily, the quiet girl who barely spoke, would find a voice loud enough to shake the world. The house was quieter than usual now. The absence of Jake weighed heavily on every room. The worn couch where he sat, the empty chair at the kitchen table, the badge still framed on the living room wall. But the silence was most profound in the way Rex moved. He was no longer the confident, alert K-9 officer who once led the charge. Now he was slow, hesitant, and often found lying by the front door as if waiting for Jake's return. Lily noticed it first, the way Rex would stare at the empty hallway for minutes on end, his head cocked slightly as if expecting a familiar sound or step. At night, she would hear his low whines from the living room. She imagined him dreaming of Jake, running alongside him, barking orders, or simply sharing a quiet moment. Lily herself had been retreating more into silence. After her father died, words became scarce, and the world felt too loud and unpredictable. But something about Rex stirred a small flicker of warmth inside her, a feeling she hadn't felt in a long time, hope. Emily watched this growing bond with cautious relief. She knew Rex needed healing, and maybe Lily did too. She decided to give them space. to let their friendship grow at its own pace. She encouraged Lily to spend time outside, reading or drawing with Rex nearby. One rainy afternoon, Lily took her book and blanket to the porch and settled beside Rex, who was curled into a tight ball. As the rain tapped gently on the roof, she read aloud a story about a brave dog who saved a whole town. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, but for Rex, it was a lifeline. Suddenly, Rex stirred. He lifted his head and nuzzled Lily's hand. She froze, unsure if it was real or a dream. Then his tail gave a slow wag, barely noticeable, but enough to make her heart race. Tears welled up in her eyes as she whispered, "It's okay, Rex. We're together now." That moment marked the beginning of something new. Over the following days, Rex slowly regained his strength and spirit. He began following Lily around the house, watching her every move with curious eyes. When she sat under the big oak tree, he sat beside her. When she climbed into bed, he rested at her feet. Lily's mother noticed a change too. Her daughter was talking more, even smiling sometimes. For the first time since her father's death, Lily asked to visit the park to see other children. Rex was there, always calm, always protective. But as Rex and Lily grew closer, the outside world began to take notice. Stories about the heroic dog who lost his partner in the line of duty spread. Local news interviewed Emily, and soon Rex's story went viral. One afternoon, a sleek black car rolled into their driveway. A tall man in an expensive suit stepped out, Vincent Crane, a billionaire known for collecting rare and extraordinary animals. He carried himself with confidence and charm, but there was something unsettling in his eyes. Crane had heard about Rex. He saw not just a loyal dog, but a symbol, a trophy. He wanted Rex, and he was willing to pay $1 million. Emily listened to his offer, her heart pounding. Money would solve many problems, but could she sell the dog that had become a lifeline for Lily? Could she betray Jake's memory? Lily, who had been silent through the meeting, suddenly spoke. Her voice was small but firm. Rex is not for sale. He's not just a dog. He's family. Emily glanced at her daughter, stunned. For the first time in a long while, Lily's words filled the room like a beacon. Vincent Crane smiled thinly and said, "Think it over. $1 million can change lives." But Lily's resolve was clear. No amount of money could replace the bond between her and Rex, and she would make sure the world knew it. Vincent Crane was used to getting what he wanted. In the world of billionaires, money wasn't just a tool. It was a weapon, a language, a promise of power. When he first heard about Rex, the fallen officer's loyal K9, he saw an opportunity that thrilled him. $1 million offer was nothing compared to the prestige of owning a living legend. Crane arrived at the Harmon household on a crisp autumn morning, his polished black car gleaming under the fading golden leaves. Emily opened the door, trying to mask her hesitation with a polite smile. Beside her, Lily stood clutching Rex's leash tightly, her eyes wary. Vincent extended his hand. "Mrs. Harmon, it's a pleasure. I'm here to make an offer I believe you can't refuse." Emily shook his hand cautiously. "We appreciate your interest, Mr. Crane, but Rex isn't just a dog to us." Crane chuckled softly. "Of course. I'm not blind to the bond you share. But think about what $1 million could do. Medical bills, college for Lily, a new start." Emily's heart clenched. Money was tempting, especially with mounting expenses and the weight of grief. But something deeper stirred, a protective instinct for Rex and her daughter. Lily, silent until now, surprised everyone by stepping forward. Her voice was clear, though small. "Rex isn't a thing to sell. He's family." Crane's eyes narrowed slightly. A child's love is pure, but life isn't always that simple. Rex could live a life of luxury and comfort, away from this sadness. Lily's gaze hardened. He's not lonely here. He's loved. Emily placed a gentle hand on Lily's shoulder. "We'll think about your offer." Crane nodded, smiling with the confidence of a man who expected compliance. He left behind his card, promising to return. That evening, the Harmon household was heavy with silence. Emily and Lily sat on the porch, watching Rex rest under the fading light. "Do you really want to sell him?" Emily asked softly. Lily shook her head. No, Rex saved Uncle Jake, and he saved me too. Emily nodded, tears glistening. I want what's best for you both. The next days were filled with whispers. News of Crane's offer spread through Hollow Creek like wildfire. The local newspaper ran a headline, "Billionaire offers million for hero K9." Some saw it as a chance for the family to heal financially. Others felt it was an insult, an attempt to commodify loyalty and love. Rex remained oblivious to the storm. He spent his days beside Lily, comforting her in ways no human could. Lily's voice grew stronger. She even spoke to neighbors and friends about her promise to keep Rex. One afternoon at school, Lily's teacher asked her to speak about courage for a class project. Nervous at first, Lily surprised everyone by sharing the story of Rex and her Uncle Jake. Her words were simple but powerful. Courage isn't just about fighting bad guys. It's about standing up for what you love, even when it's hard. Back home, Emily received a call from Crane's assistant. They wanted an answer soon. The pressure mounted, but Lily remained steadfast. Rex is not for sale, she repeated over and over. Emily began to see a new strength in her daughter, a spark of bravery born from love and loss. As Crane prepared for a second visit, the town of Hollow Creek rallied quietly behind Lily and Rex. Stories of loyalty, family, and courage were told around dinner tables and coffee shops. For the first time since Jake's death, Lily felt the power of community and her own voice. Lily had never been one for crowds. The mere thought of speaking in front of others sent her heart pounding and her palms sweating. But on the morning Vincent Crane returned to the Harmon house, everything inside her stirred with a strange mix of fear and determination. Crane arrived again, this time flanked by reporters and photographers. The news had spread, and the media buzz was electric. Cameras flashed as he stepped onto the porch, his usual confident smile tighter than before. Emily stood near the doorway, holding Lily's hand. The little girl's fingers were trembling, but her grip was firm. Crane spoke first, his voice smooth and practiced. "Mrs. Harmon, Lily, I understand this is difficult, but consider what $1 million could do for your family." Lily looked up at him, her large brown eyes steady. For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then, in a voice clear and unwavering, she said, "Rex is not for sale. No amount of money can buy him. He is not just a dog. He is my family. He saved me, and he saved my uncle. And I will not let anyone take him away." A hush fell over the crowd. Reporters shifted in their seats, astonished by the unexpected courage of the quiet girl who had spoken so plainly. Crane's face tightened, but he said nothing. He turned to Emily, who nodded silently. Lily's words quickly went viral. Videos of her brave stand flooded social media, accompanied by thousands of messages of support from all over the country. People were moved not just by the story of a heroic dog, but by the bravery of a young girl who refused to be silenced. Local veterans and law enforcement officers shared their own stories of Rex and Jake, praising their bond and the sacrifices made. Community leaders organized a rally in the town square to honor fallen officers and their K9 partners, inviting Lily to speak. At the rally, standing before a sea of faces, Lily's voice no longer quivered. She told the crowd about Rex's loyalty, about loss, and about the strength found in family. Tears glistened in the eyes of many listeners, moved by the depth of feeling from someone so young. Emily watched her daughter and felt a surge of pride. The shy child she knew was gone, replaced by someone who could stand tall and speak for those who could not. Meanwhile, Vincent Crane watched the news unfold from his penthouse, the power of his offer crumbling beneath the weight of public opinion. The media storm had turned against him. Still, Crane was a man accustomed to winning. He contacted his public relations team, plotting a new approach, one that would salvage his image and perhaps still win Rex. But the people of Hollow Creek had made their choice clear. Rex was theirs. Jake's legacy was theirs. And Lily had become the voice of a community that refused to give in. Back home, Lily sat beside Rex under the oak tree, her hand resting gently on his fur. She whispered softly, "We're going to be okay, Rex. We're going to keep you safe." And Rex, loyal as ever, leaned into her touch, as if promising the same. The media frenzy surrounding Rex and Lily's stand against Vincent Crane only intensified. News outlets across the country picked up the story, framing it as a battle between money and heart. Social media was flooded with hashtags like #SaveRex and #FamilyNotForSale, rallying support for the young girl and her faithful dog. In Hollow Creek, the small town that once thrived quietly, the spotlight was both a blessing and a curse. Supporters brought flowers and letters. Strangers sent care packages and donations to help Lily's family. But the attention also brought pressure, unwanted questions, and even criticism from those who believed Emily should consider Crane's offer for the sake of financial security. Emily struggled under the weight of it all. The loss of her brother had shattered their family, and now, the fight to keep Rex felt like a battle for the very soul of their grief. Bills piled up, the house needed repairs, and every day brought a new challenge. Yet, through it all, Lily remained a beacon of strength. Schoolmates who once ignored her now looked at her with respect. Teachers gave her space to express herself, and community members stopped her in the street to offer encouragement. One afternoon, as Emily was sorting through mail, a letter arrived from a prominent animal rights organization. They offered legal support and promised to help protect Rex from being sold against the family's wishes. This bolstered Emily's resolve. She knew they weren't alone. Vincent Crane, meanwhile, grew restless. Losing the court of public opinion hurt his pride and his plans. He hired top lawyers and PR specialists, vowing to find a legal loophole to take Rex regardless of the family's wishes. His team scoured paperwork, looking for any technicality that would grant him ownership or custody. At the same time, Crane's publicists tried to spin the story. They painted him as a dog lover who only wanted to provide Rex with the best care possible, away from a grieving family struggling to cope. The narrative didn't sit well with the public, who saw through the glossy statements. Lily and Rex became symbols not just of loyalty, but of resistance. Local schools organized fundraisers, and nearby police departments sent messages of solidarity. News anchors interviewed Lily's teachers, neighbors, and Emily, all echoing the same sentiment: Rex was family. One evening, after a long day filled with meetings and interviews, Emily found Lily and Rex in the backyard. Lily was reading aloud, the words flowing easier than before, her voice steady and confident. Emily knelt beside her daughter. "You're amazing, Lily. I'm so proud of you." Lily smiled shyly but nodded. "We have to keep fighting, Mom. For Uncle Jake, for Rex, for us." The family's lawyer arranged a meeting to discuss how to make their claim legally unbreakable. The path ahead was daunting, but Emily refused to back down. Word of Crane's aggressive tactics reached the local sheriff, who issued a public statement condemning any attempts to seize Rex without the family's consent. It was clear the law enforcement community stood firmly behind Lily and Emily. As winter approached, the battle was far from over, but one thing was certain. Hollow Creek was united. The story of a girl who refused to sell her family's heart had captured the nation's attention, and no amount of money could buy that. As winter settled over Hollow Creek, the battle for Rex's future seemed endless. Vincent Crane's legal team pushed harder, and the family faced mounting pressure. But just when things looked bleak, an unexpected ally stepped forward. One chilly morning, a letter arrived at Emily's doorstep. It was from Detective Sam Alvarez, a seasoned K-9 handler who had worked closely with Jake and Rex for years. Alvarez was known for his no-nonsense approach and fierce loyalty to the men and dogs he served with. In the letter, Alvarez expressed his support for Lily and Emily. He recalled the countless hours he and Jake had spent training Rex, the bond that was forged in sweat, tears, and danger. More importantly, he offered to testify on their behalf, emphasizing that Rex was not just a pet or an asset, but a living symbol of Jake's sacrifice. Emily was moved. Alvarez's endorsement gave her renewed hope. She called him immediately, and their conversation sparked a plan. Detective Alvarez agreed to come to Hollow Creek for a public event supporting Rex and the family. The announcement spread quickly, drawing media and local residents alike. It was clear the tide was turning. On the day of the event, the town square was packed. Flags waved, banners reading "Justice for Rex" fluttered in the cold wind, and people from all walks of life gathered. The air buzzed with a mix of solemn remembrance and fiery determination. When Alvarez stepped to the microphone, his presence commanded respect. He spoke of Jake's bravery, Rex's training, and the irreplaceable bond between a handler and his dog. His words were steady and heartfelt. "Rex is not a commodity," Alvarez said firmly. "He is a partner, a hero, and a living testament to the sacrifices made by officers like Jake Harmon. To separate them is to dishonor that bond." The crowd erupted into applause. Emily stood near Lily, tears streaming as she felt the weight of community support. For the first time in months, hope felt tangible. Vincent Crane's representatives watched the event unfold on television. The billionaire was growing desperate. His team warned him that public opinion had turned sharply against him, and continuing the fight might do more harm than good. Despite this, Crane was stubborn. He prepared for a final legal maneuver, confident his resources could overcome the emotional tide. But the legal battle would not be the only front. Lily, emboldened by the rally and Detective Alvarez's support, began speaking more openly. She agreed to interviews and even appear on a local radio show, her voice steady as she told her story. "We're fighting for Rex because he's family," she said, "and because some things like love and loyalty can't be bought or sold." Emily marveled at her daughter's courage. Lily was transforming from a quiet girl into a young woman who understood the power of her voice. As the snow began to fall gently over Hollow Creek, Rex lay quietly by the fire, his eyes soft but alert. He seemed to sense the battle was far from over, but he also sensed he was not alone. Together, Lily, Emily, and their newfound community stood ready. And somewhere, Jake's spirit seemed to watch over them all, proud that his legacy lived on through the girl and the dog who refused to be broken. Winter deepened its hold on Hollow Creek, blanketing the town in cold silence. But inside the Harmon home, the tension was anything but quiet. The legal battle between Emily and Vincent Crane had escalated to its climax. Lawyers had pored over every document, every contract, searching for leverage. But the community's unwavering support for Lily and Rex had created an invisible shield one Crane could not easily penetrate. Crane arrived again, this time with an air of forced politeness masking his frustration. His legal team presented one last attempt to claim ownership over Rex, citing obscure clauses in the police department's K-9 transfer agreements. Their argument was technical and cold, but the courtroom was anything but. Lily sat beside her mother, clutching Rex's paw, her small hand trembling, but her eyes fierce. The judge listened carefully as lawyers argued back and forth. Detectives and officers from the department gave heartfelt testimony, emphasizing the special relationship between a handler and their K-9. Detective Sam Alvarez took the stand, recounting stories of Rex's loyalty and bravery. He spoke of the time Rex saved Jake from a dangerous situation, of their unbreakable bond forged in the line of duty. His voice was steady, filled with conviction. "This dog is not a commodity to be bought or sold," Alvarez said firmly. "Rex is family. To take him away would be a grave injustice." The courtroom seemed to hold its breath. Emily whispered softly to Lily, "You're doing amazing, sweetheart." Lily nodded, her heart pounding. She felt the weight of the entire town behind her, and most of all, she felt Jake's spirit guiding her. After hours of deliberation, the judge finally spoke. "This court recognizes the unique bond between Rex and the Harmon family. The sale or transfer of Rex against the wishes of the Harmon family is hereby denied." The courtroom erupted into cheers. Emily hugged Lily tightly, tears flowing freely. Rex barked softly, sensing the victory. But outside the courthouse, Crane was already plotting his next move. His pride was wounded and his resources vast. He had underestimated the strength of family, community, and courage. Meanwhile, Lily's story continued to inspire. News stations covered the courtroom drama, framing it as a triumph of heart over wealth. The hashtag family not for sale trended nationwide, and Lily received messages of support from children and adults alike. Back home, Emily sat with Lily and Rex by the fireplace, feeling a peace that had eluded them for months. The fight was far from over in the world, but for now, they had won a crucial battle. Lily whispered to Rex, "We did it, boy. We're going to be okay. Rex nuzzled her hand, loyal and unwavering. As the snow fell gently outside, the Harmon family found hope in the warmth of their love, knowing that some bonds are stronger than money, stronger than loss. The courtroom victory was more than just a legal win. It was a new beginning for the Harmon family. The months of tension, fear, and uncertainty had finally given way to a sense of peace. For Emily, Lily, and Rex, life could slowly start to heal. The community of Hollow Creek didn't just celebrate the ruling, they embraced it. Local businesses organized events to raise funds for the Harmon family, helping with medical bills and home repairs. School children created artwork and letters for Lily, reminding her how brave she had been. Emily watched as her daughter flourished, no longer just the quiet girl who once grieved in silence, but a young voice of strength and hope. Lily's confidence grew with each passing day, and Rex was always by her side, a steadfast reminder of their shared past and their future. One sunny spring afternoon, Detective Sam Alvarez returned to Hollow Creek with a special surprise. He brought with him a plaque, dedicated to Jake Harmon and Rex, to be placed in the town's new memorial park honoring fallen officers and their K-9 partners. At the dedication ceremony, the town gathered under blooming trees, their faces touched by the warmth of remembrance and gratitude. Lily stood with Rex, proudly holding his leash as the plaque was unveiled. Jake and Rex represent the best of us, Alvarez said. Their loyalty, bravery, and love remind us why we fight for each other every day. Emily felt tears prick her eyes as she watched Lily speak once again, this time without fear, sharing the story of her uncle, Rex, and the strength that family brings. The media returned for interviews, but the story had changed. It was no longer about a billionaire's offer or a legal battle. It was about love, community, and the resilience of the human spirit. Vincent Crane, faced with public defeat and a damaged reputation, quietly withdrew from the fight. His millions could not buy back the trust and goodwill that had been lost. As the seasons turned, life settled into a new rhythm. Emily found a job helping other families who had lost loved ones in service, inspired by the support she had received. Lily, encouraged by her experience, began volunteering with a local animal rescue, hoping to give other dogs the love Rex had given her. Rex, older now but still alert, enjoyed long walks in the park and quiet evenings by the fire. He remained a symbol, not just of a fallen officer's bravery, but of a family's love that no amount of money could ever replace. One evening, as the sun set in golden hues, Emily sat with Lily and Rex on the porch. The gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers and the promise of tomorrow. Lily leaned into her mother. "We're going to be okay, Mom. We have each other. And Rex." Emily smiled, feeling the truth in those words. "Yes, sweetheart, we do." The fight had been hard, the losses deep, but their story had touched hearts and inspired many. And in the quiet strength of a young girl and her dog, the legacy of Jake Harmon lived on, proof that love, loyalty, and courage could never be bought or sold.